Single dad sad economy. F-16 pilot saluted him midair and shocked everyone. The boarding gate was loud with rolling suitcases and impatient sighs when Daniel Carter finally reached the counter, his 6-year-old daughter Lily asleep against his shoulder. Her small fingers were tangled in the strap of his worn backpack, the one he'd carried through more airports than he could count. Daniel shifted his weight, careful not to wake her. Economy boarding Group 7, same as always. He didn't mind. Daniel had learned long ago that comfort was a luxury, not a right. After his wife passed away 3 years earlier, the world had shrunk to a tight circle: Lily, work, rent, groceries, bedtime stories. First class was for people with room in their lives for extravagance. He had room only for responsibility. The gate agent scanned his pass. Row 32, seat B. Thank you, Daniel said quietly, adjusting Lily as they walked down the jet bridge. Inside the plane, the familiar scent of recycled air and coffee wrapped around him. A flight attendant smiled sympathetically as she saw Lily asleep. You can take your time, she whispered. Daniel nodded and slid into the narrow seat, Lily curled against his chest. The window beside them framed the late afternoon sky, pale blue with streaks of white. He buckled them both in, resting his chin lightly on Lily's hair. A man across the aisle glanced over, frowning slightly as he noticed Daniel's faded jacket, the scuffed boots. He looked like any other tired single dad. Nothing remarkable, nothing that would turn heads. And that was exactly how Daniel preferred it. As the plane taxied, Lily stirred. Daddy, are we flying high today? Very high, Daniel murmured. Higher than the clouds. She smiled sleepily and closed her eyes again. The engines roared, pressing them back into their seats as the aircraft lifted from the runway. Daniel watched the ground fall away, cities turning into patterns, roads into lines. He exhaled slowly, the way he always did at takeoff. Across the aisle, a woman noticed his calm and leaned toward her companion. He's not nervous at all. Daniel heard it but didn't react. He rarely did. At cruising altitude, the cabin lights dimmed. Lily woke fully this time, pressing her nose to the window. Daddy, look. Daniel followed her gaze. Two sleek shapes sliced through the sky off the right wing, sharp, angular, unmistakable. F-16 fighter jets. They flew in perfect formation, sunlight glinting off their canopies. Gasps rippled through the cabin. Are those military jets? Someone whispered. They're so close. Another passenger exclaimed, already lifting a phone. Lily's eyes went wide. Daddy, are they racing us? Daniel smiled faintly. Something like that. The jets adjusted position, one drifting slightly ahead, the other falling back. Then, in a move so precise it felt choreographed, both jets rolled gently, wings tipping in a deliberate salute toward the passenger plane. The cabin erupted. Oh my God, are they saluting us? Why would they do that? Phones were up everywhere now, flashes blinking, hands shaking. A man in a business suit stood halfway out of his seat, staring. The flight attendants froze, exchanging confused looks. One hurried toward the cockpit. Lily clapped. They're saying hello. Daniel swallowed, his jaw tightening. He hadn't expected this. Not today. The jets held formation for a few seconds longer, then peeled away in opposite directions, disappearing into the vast blue. The cabin buzzed with adrenaline. That was incredible, the woman across the aisle breathed, turning to Daniel. Did you see that? I did, Daniel said softly. People were already speculating. Maybe it's an exercise. No, that was intentional. A salute. Who salutes a commercial plane? The captain's voice crackled over the intercom, calm but edged with awe. Ladies and gentlemen, as you may have noticed, we were briefly accompanied by 2 United States Air Force F-16s. Air traffic control has informed us this was a ceremonial escort. We will provide more information when available. A ceremonial escort. The word settled over the cabin like a weight. Eyes began to dart around, searching for answers. A flight attendant approached Daniel's row, her expression uncertain. She glanced at Lily, then back at Daniel. Sir, may I ask your name? Daniel hesitated. Lily looked up at him, sensing the shift. It's Daniel Carter, he replied. The attendant's breath caught almost imperceptibly. Mr. Carter, would you mind coming with me for a moment? When it's convenient. Murmurs spread as Daniel carefully stood, lifting Lily into his arms. Daddy, she whispered. It's okay, he said, steady as ever. As they walked down the aisle, heads turned openly now. The man in the suit stared. Someone whispered, is that him? In the galley, the captain was waiting, his hat tucked under his arm. He was older, Silver-haired, eyes sharp. When he saw Daniel, he straightened. "Sir," the captain said, voice firm. Then he did something that silenced the entire nearby cabin. He saluted. Daniel instinctively returned it, his movements precise despite holding Lily. The captain's expression softened. "It's an honor to have you on board, Colonel Carter." A stunned hush fell over the surrounding rows. "Colonel," someone echoed. Lily blinked. "Daddy." Daniel closed his eyes briefly, then looked at her. "I'll explain, sweetheart." The captain turned to the nearest flight attendant. "Please inform the passengers that today's escort was authorized by Air Command in recognition of Colonel Carter's service." The attendant nodded, wide-eyed. Whispers turned into audible shock. "That guy, he's a colonel, but he's sitting in economy." Daniel shifted Lily on his hip. "Captain, that wasn't necessary." "With respect, sir," the captain replied, "it absolutely was." The announcement came moments later. The attendant's voice trembled as she spoke. "Ladies and gentlemen, we are honored to have aboard Colonel Daniel Carter, United States Air Force, retired." The F-16 salute was conducted in recognition of his leadership during Operation Iron Shield, where his actions saved multiple squadrons and civilian lives. The cabin exploded into applause. People stood. Some cried openly. The man in the suit sat down heavily, face flushed. Daniel felt the sound wash over him, distant and unreal. He hadn't thought about Iron Shield in years. Hadn't talked about it, hadn't wanted Lily to carry the weight of those memories. Lily stared at him, eyes shining. "Daddy, you fly planes." "I used to," he said quietly. "Like those?" "Yes, like those." A woman stepped forward hesitantly. "My brother flies F-16s, she said, voice shaking. "Thank you, for bringing him home safe." Daniel nodded, emotion tightening his throat. "He brings himself home. I just helped." The rest of the flight passed in a strange, gentle blur. People brought Lily snacks, offered Daniel drinks, thanked him again and again. He accepted politely, but his gaze often drifted back to the window, where the sky stretched endlessly. When they landed, the captain made one final announcement. "Colonel Carter, on behalf of this crew and everyone aboard, thank you for your service, not just in the air, but for the example you set." As they disembarked, passengers lined the aisle, applauding softly as Daniel walked past, Lily waving shyly. At the terminal, Lily tugged his sleeve. "Daddy, why didn't you tell me?" Daniel knelt, meeting her eyes. "Because being brave isn't about medals or salutes. It's about doing what needs to be done, even when no one's watching." She considered that, then smiled. "I like when they watched today." He chuckled quietly. "Me too." They walked on, just a single dad and his daughter again, economy travelers in a big world, leaving behind a sky that, for a moment, had remembered who Daniel Carter truly was.